Welcome to the second session. There we are. This is the picture that we're doing this time. It's there if you want to look at it. And you can see that there are some very bright things in it, and there's some things which are colored but not bright. This is bright. Also, I have introduced a white object. Yes. Yeah. And if I get as far as these, some of these are translucent, at least in my picture on the actual screen. The light is shining through this upper one here. So that would be an occasion to use a transparent paint. Whereas down here, because I want it to zing, I'm going to use an opaque paint. I'm using two this time. One is the cadmium yellow, manifested for this. It sort of screams at you, doesn't it? And the other, this one here is a cerulean blue for this kind of rug thing here. So the idea of the brights, using the opaque paints to make it really bright, is you want some things to really stand out in the picture. There's a lot going on here, and I want to do a bit of push-pull. There's not a lot of perspective in the sense that it hasn't got great depth. It's what, about 6 foot front to back. So that's, problematic as far as getting depth is concerned. So to make the picture interesting, you want to have some things that leap at your attention and some things that you gradually come to know. Right. So that's that. So I'll put it there. This is here. I'll put it there so that I can see what I'm doing. Right. So if I was, well, I'll just do it instead of talking about it. So if I was painting the whole thing, I wasn't going to paint the whole thing, but if I at least start to paint the whole thing, you get some idea of what I'm about. Right. So I'm going to start with the blue baskets. Trugs, yes, trug type things. Crab basket. No, there are crab pots further in, but those are big plastic doodahs. Welk buckets, there we are. Somebody knows. Right, now all these are blue, aren't they? And even that bit between there is dark blue or something like that. So I can just put them all in, can't I? Just wash them in. Yes. Didn't think I was going to, did you? Right. Well, because you know how to make the shapes, don't you? Yeah, come on, you move a bit. When we get down to here, I'll neaten off the edge a bit. There we are. That is. Yeah, it's not. Why is this paper piece? Right, there we are. So I'll just leave them like that because I can go back to them when it's a bit drier. Okay. So then, if I move down, this pot is white. And if you look, you see there's a bit of a shadow coming up from the bottom. Okay. So what am I going to do? Wet the pot. Well done. Somebody's heard. Right. Now I'm going to leave the top because it's touching that lot up there. So if I take this, just this pot, down to about there, right? And I'm going to introduce some blue down the bottom here. And just push it up a bit so that it can explore life as it wishes. I've actually overdone that a bit, so I'll pull it back. One of the things you can do with this particular watercolor, it's a non-staining transparent color, so I can pull it back and return to the white paper, which is lovely. Right? That's not really dark enough right at the bottom there, so I'll introduce a bit more blue down here too. But I want to suggest that it's quite dark. I know the shadow isn't this color. I like the color. So, yeah, if I can use a color instead of gray, I will. I tend to make my grays. Now let's move across a bit to this one here. That's more of a viridian. Right, so twist the brush in the paint to pick up as much paint as you can. I didn't wet it soon enough, so it's been a bit difficult. Now, I want it to be darker. Just a little bit, it's this color. And it's near the wet bit, so I'll leave it for the time being. If I want it to be darker, I'm going to add a bit of blue to it to make it a darker color. There we are. It's still the vaguely the sort of color that I want. And we've got a nice sharp edge there. That's white. So we're going to leave that white for the time being. Right. Well, I've done that. Now, if I look at the thing next to it, there, it's vaguely brownish sort of colors. Lobster pot. So I'm going to use some of the I'm going to use burnt sienna. Burnt sienna. So I've got a sort of, again, I'm doing the shape, not worrying too much about what the thing actually is. I'm just doing the shape. Because if you like, blocking in the color. If I was actually there, I would be trying to get as much down as possible, then I can anticipate it afterwards. This lobster thing here is also this color. I'm going to ignore the one in front of it because I didn't draw it in. Yeah, if it's not drawn in, don't paint it. Don't paint it. Not going to help. That comes down. I'm going to make it come down to here. Yeah, I didn't see it. This paper is accepting the paint in a funny way. Now, I want to put in the dark bits in between the light bits on this. I'm going to make quite a dark. This is dark here. What I'm doing, if you like, is eating the elephant in small bites. Now, if I leave that edge there and just put this one in here. And the whole of that side. Can't see the back of it, so it goes right over there. And this is also curved here. Occasionally, you do use the point. Now there are 3 sections, but I've only got room for 2. So I'm only putting 2 in. I'm being very cavalier about this. Right? Just by doing that, doing it in pale and then putting the dark bits in on top, it's there. And if I want to do more to it afterwards, I can, but it's at least explained about what it is. Right, okay. Right. I've been avoiding this yellow thing. I know. Makes a difference. Right, okay. So we want this to sing out. So much so, I'm going to be really fussy about. Right. Now, I even put out fresh cadmium yellow to that I get a good bright color. Remember, you have to work the gum arabic even when it's sloshy like this. You still have to work the gum arabic in your mix. I don't give myself big enough space to mix. It's lethal, isn't it? Right. So I'm going to paint all of this. Lovely color, isn't it? It's my favorite thing. Make that Macbeth, you know, be bloody bold and resolute. Now you can see that that is definitely not transparent. Now, if you mix, an opaque, if you mix too many opaques, you get mud. I don't want mud. I just want it to turn slightly orangey, so I'm going to use cadmium red. If I was being really brave, there you are, you see. Now these are, cadmium red is, well, it's a cadmium. So it again is opaque. So I'm mixing 2 opaques together. If I went for 3, I really would get mud. Okay, so, but I want to show shape. So I'm going to put in the shape of the inside. Now I've got to be careful here because along here there's a bit that sticks out. Yes, perspective. It's a great life if you don't have perspective. Yeah. Okay. That's the inside, and that gets narrower. You go towards that end, that brightness, and that is thin. And then I've got quite a deep shadow around here. What have we got here? That comes right up to the edge there. Then we've got this bit round here. This is quite a deep shadow here. It'll still move. If you want it to. All right there. Right, I go quiet when I'm thinking. Whoosh. Right, now then, I've got a great hard edge there that I don't want. So what I'm doing is drying the brush. Rinsed it and I'm drying it. Can you see how muddy the water is? I'm just going to run a dry brush down the edge. This doesn't, you know, and if I use this thinner along here, too thick. That's soft too. So right? So that's, you can see how singing bright it is. Really sort of leaps off the page. Another one. This is cadmium. Oh, very tough. It isn't cadmium. It's cerulean. Yes. If I say something stupid, for heaven's sake, correct me. Enough of you here who know the truth. Right. So cerulean is also opaque. You can just see it, can't you? The difference between that and that. Right. So this is in this. Again, if you can do it as a gesture rather than diddling around with the shape, it just makes the whole thing flow better. Right, got rid of that. Now, because I've used opaques, that has gone really cloudy. That's what opaques do. Right, so let's look at the this thing at the front here. This. Now, it is actually, it was pretty actually, but I'm not going to paint it dirty. I don't like painting things dirty. I'm not going to paint it dirty. But if I use what I've got is blue, I'm just going to wet. Now, I don't want it to run into there, so I'm trying to leave an edge there. I hope I've left an edge. Right? So if I take this blue, quite a pale blue, run it in along the top there, then it's quite strong, isn't it? Just let it come on, down you come. And it goes around there too. So what I've done is to paint it blue, in effect, because it's definitely, I suppose I could have done it grey. Actually, it was rather nice to do it purple next to that yellow. And there again, I need to, that isn't finished, I've got to add some depth. This, I need to deepen that there. To show that it goes on down, you know. It's oh, come on. Misbehaving. Yeah. Okay. That's it. Now, if I take that, I don't want to get into the blue in, and I can put a dab down here because this is very much darker. And that is very much darker there. I don't think that is going to work. So I'm going to a warm brown. This is burnt sienna. Just touching it in to suggest the depth of that going down along the bottom and down here. This is dark. While it's still wet,
if you let it dry,
yeah.
Are you able to go back to it later
Yes.
and wet it and,
Yes.
and it's still mobile, is it then?
If it's dry, you can go back and work in it, but it's not. And you can work damp on top. But if you wet the watercolor, you'll disturb the pigment underneath. So you don't soak it, you dampen it to make it do what you want it to do. Like up here. So if we want to get in a few of these, what are we doing for time? Right, okay, so here we've got a big circular thing, and it's coming down here. And this one is dark here. And this one is dark here. Well, oh, there we are. That comes around here. Trying to draw them in without drawing them. There's a mistake there. I don't know if I can lift that out. Not coming out entirely. Lifted well enough though, hasn't it? Where's the picture? Right. I wanted to make that come around. I've lost track of where I am there actually. That's light. Right. Um, I'm hurrying. It's not going to work. But that's the way to do it. Go back and put your shadows in afterwards. And then I would paint this darker down here to make these stand out a lot more. Okay, what I would, yeah, What I would do would be to use the ultramarine and the burnt sienna. Because they make quite a nice dark. Or if I wanted to be colourful, raw, and I could be, I could make a nice rich purple instead. And, that in there. Then just makes them throw up a little bit. That isn't dark enough there, but I'll have to wait until it's dry so that I can really push the depth in there. Yes. But you know, half an hour. Right. So you got some, you can see how that really sings out.
Yeah.
Now, if I had used a another yellow, I don't know if I could do this now. This one is, what's that one? That's black. What's this one? Right. So yeah, that's that. See if I see. Right. Not half the thing, is it?
Yeah.
No. So if you want brights, you use opaque. But if you want translucence, as I would up here if I was painting it properly and doing what I wanted to do, then if you want the light to sort of shine through, then you use the transparents. The transparents let the light through to the paper. Remember that the white paper is your white. So it's all a question of reserving the whites as far as you can and, you know, working up from there. Okay, so brights, opaques for brights. Go thou and enjoy yourself.
Thank you.